best division in football.
Best division of football. You know what? Now that I have the music and the mic going, because Sean just wanted to get warmed up, so we were just there warming it up. That's all it was about. So now that the energy is high, we're gonna start the show.
All right.
That was a warm up on mute, okay?
Okay.
Like talk show on mute, like the song. I mean, that was a warm up on mute. So now we're warmed up, we're ready to go. It's the NFL Week 1 wrap up. If you missed the graphic before, I put the Cowboys Rams score up there. But let's get started with the Rams Cowboys game. SoFi Stadium finally opening. I've been waiting personally 4 years. I was told to wait 3 years, and then there was all this flooding. And then they were like, hey, you have to wait 4 years. And then they're like, okay, no fans, so 5 years apparently to get into this stadium, which I've already put my own money into this $5 billion stadium to get some really great seats for Hawaii sports fans tours in the future. And it's going to be so great for the Seahawks who are going to come to town every year to SoFi. But before we get to the Seahawks game and their win today, let's talk about the Rams and the Cowboys, because this is a game that, was a great Sunday night game for one thing. Sunday night's one of those games that, it's going to be a close one. It's a flex game usually, or if it's fixed in the schedule like this one was, it's because these teams are expected to put on a show. And I thought they did. Sean, your thoughts again, because now you're live, Sean, and now you're not Mr. Roboto, so now you can talk. So what do we feel about the game?
Yeah, so like I said, I think the star of the night is the stadium. It's beautiful. Everything is state of the art. I think Ezekiel Elliott was the first Cowboy to have a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown in the first quarter or something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool. But congratulations to the Rams on going 1-0. I kind of expected the Cowboys to pull this one out.
Yeah, same.
One of many shocking games today.
Yeah,
so,
same. Shane, what about you, Shane?
Yeah, I agreed, and that stadium looks killer. It's beautiful. My wife being a Chargers fan, and they share the stadium with them. I can't wait to take her to a game.
Yeah.
Hopefully next season. But shout out to the Rams. I mean, I knew their defense was going to be stout with AD, the best defensive player in the league.
Mm-hmm.
But besides, I think their running game still needs some help. It didn't look like it was doing too well, but Goff looked good. Woods looked good. So looks like you guys said, hey.
Aaron Donald. No, like you said, Aaron Donald is the man, but he gets triple team, quadruple team.
Oh yeah.
On every play, but like you said, the defense you thought would have been better, but the run game they did have. You saw Henderson play a lot. Malcolm Brown got the ball a lot, so the Rams are ready to move on past Todd Gurley. But I think to be honest, as a Rams person as well, I thought this was going to be a tough one to open the season at home, because this is a new stadium. You want to christen it. You want to get a win. I was there in spirit and in cardboard because my face was on one of those people in the end zone. So I'm hoping that I had a good time there, I guess, that I celebrated the win there. But it was rough. I'm going to be honest. Like, it's not the same not being there. And I think, we take for granted. I think sometimes we all say things like that, right? We take for granted just how, how we expect to be at things like the NFL Week 1 or be able to be in the stands. But this year, no fans got to be there. And it's weird because every other game was like, whatever. But seeing a game at SoFi with no fans, well, that was tough, considering I've never been in that stadium before. To be able to see my own stadium, I have a seat there that literally is leased to me for them, and I've never even been in that stadium before. So it's a little rough, but Rams got the win. I thought it was great. Cowboys played well, I thought it was a good game all the way around. But I know that you're just salivating to talk about this game, so let's move on and talk about the Seahawks versus the Falcons in a big day for the Seahawks. Put 38 points on the board. Well, let's Shane start with this one because he's ready. You got the Seahawks. Shane, show off your jersey right now, Shane. That's a pretty tight jersey. Show what you're wearing. Is that cut? Is it it's like a basketball jersey, right?
Yeah. It's my basketball jersey.
Sweet. That is Shane's got Shane and both of these guys. This is why I bring them on, because they can show off all the apparel that they have. But Shane, that's his team. That's his team, and I know today he has been waiting for this moment to get on the Zoom with all his friends and watch football all day. So I'm sure he's also a little bit pooped like the rest of us. But Shane, I mean, your team won, so it must have been a good day for you, right?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Whenever Seattle wins and San Fran loses, it's a beautiful day. But anyway, yeah, I mean, considering going into the game against Atlanta, and history has shown that Atlanta always gives us a pretty rough time. And coming into the season, we already have questions about our defense. So, but our defense was the bend but no break. We had some critical stops when we needed it. So, and how we were talking about earlier, like I've never seen Jamal Adams play because I've never watched Jets games before. I knew he was good, but when you really get to watch him play, you realize this sucker is good. So I'm so stoked with that pickup. And what more I'm stoked with is how they decided to open up our offense. There were rumors that Marty was going to let Russ cook, and he was going to open up the playbook. And, they made Russ took advantage, man. I think they ran less than 20 times in this whole game, which is pretty rare for a Seahawks offense, which heavily relies on the run. Yeah, so I'm stoked, man. I'm really stoked.
How about you, Sean? I know you were excited to see what your team was going to look like week one, and they had to have impressed you, I have to imagine.
Right. I was just happy that they showed the game. They picked that game to show because, I mean, the Seahawks versus Atlanta, I don't think that would have much local interest, but, they picked it, they showed it, so I was really excited to be able to see them. To play off what Shane said, Jamal Adams made his presence felt all over the field. In the backfield, making tackles on the quarterback. Back in coverage, and this whole thing about letting Russ cook. Our offensive line is still terrible, and Russ is gonna be running for his life. So but he's getting the ball downfield, and I'm excited. I think he's a legit MVP candidate going forward this season. So I want to see if he can keep it up. 4 touchdowns is tremendously efficient. He was 34 out of 38. It was amazing. So
well, Shane, I know
the only 4 incompletions was to DK. And it was funny because a lot of my friends who are anti-Seahawks, they keep teasing me, and they always say DK is a mediocre receiver because he only runs 1 to 2 different routes.
No, he doesn't.
So I always argue with that. You got to give him time to learn. And then after he missed one simple first down catch was right in his hands, I texted my friend. I said, you know what? Maybe he is mediocre. But then right after, 4th down, touchdown to DK. So I immediately texted back. I was like, I take that back.
You must be hard to watch a game with sometimes, Shane, huh? With your... We got to get Warrior Wife on a show one day to get the inside scoop on what a game is like watching with Shane at home.
To give a shout out to Chris Carson too, man.
Yeah,
I was really
he had a
concerned
great game.
Coming back from injury, but he looked like he was in mid-season form, man.
Yeah, Chris Carson, I'll be honest, when he cracked the top 100, I was like, Chris Carson. But he put on his... I mean, he did it tonight, and I have to give him a lot of credit, too, because I told myself this year I'll watch him a lot more because of him just being in, more prominently known. Of course, all these guys, they can get, lost on one of these big teams, or they can be a good, safety valve for some of these guys. And for Russ, I think he has so many weapons, and Russ has so many options that, the Seahawks did it again. But some disappointing news this week, obviously, Shane, deactivating the guy that we were all most looking forward to. I mean, how did that feel for you guys personally?
like Sean was saying, heartbreaking, and it's frustrating because one day you hear, oh, John Ursula doing so good. John Ursula gets good chance to be the number 3. John Ursula is gonna make a name for himself in the second season, and then 2 days later, John Ursula cut. I'm like, what the hell is going on? It's like, can 2020 play even more jokes on me? And I was like,
this just goes to 2020. You're like 2020.
What is going on? It's like so great. And then there's like for Penny Hart, and I'm thinking, who the heck is Penny Hart?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
what about you, Sean?
I don't understand.
Yeah, I was really caught off guard. I was super depressed because after he made the cut on Saturday, I let my guard down. I'm like, he's on the team, and it just kind of like shows you, like, they were willing to put him out there for anyone to sign, which kind of says a lot.
Yeah.
And they rolled the dice on getting him back. So, like, I thought his position was more secure, but I guess it's not. It might be his hamstring. He's had a hamstring injury. He's been trying to work through, but hopefully he can get himself back and get back onto the active roster.
Yeah, for John Ursula, I thought like maybe if it was like, to clear up room in a different position or something, and he was just like the guy trimmed, but they literally brought in a guy that plays the same position, so, or similar, right? It was offensive. That's what I was just like, oh, okay, so it's almost like a direct replacement, which was kind of disappointing because I agree. I thought he had cracked the roster, and this would be the year. But you know what? I think he's still young. He's still got a long ways to go. I also think that he is, one of those guys that other teams have been watching, and he's developing a name. So, and like they said, this year, anything can happen. It's like it's so important for guys to stay healthy. If you didn't make your roster, like you never know if your number is going to get called because COVID and everything is happening, and they very well expect that to happen, and they expect to not have everybody healthy the whole year. So, but that's Seahawks Falcons. So we're gonna go back to my other team now. We're gonna talk about the Chiefs just briefly because so some of you guys are confused, like why is he wearing a Rams hat, Chiefs? So I've been a Chiefs fan for 30 years. That was my team: Christian Okoye, Derek Thomas. My Derek Thomas signed stuff behind me. I came to LA to extend some of my own personal work, but also to just immerse myself in the professional sports here. And then the NFL came back, and I was like, whatever, NFC team, the Rams are here. I couldn't be a Chargers fan. I have to be. Obviously the AFC West, you cannot go in the same one. As much as I love their powder blue uniforms and how beautiful they are, and as much as Warrior Wife is in love with the Chargers, I have to tell her that I would have been hard because Chiefs, Chargers, you kind of be in the same league, but. Having the Rams in LA is the game changer for this town and everything. So it's been cool to follow. But the Chiefs, it's like finally my whole life, I can count like the 3 AFC Championship games really prior, and to have only that your whole life and to finally have that Super Bowl last year, it's kind of crazy. It's like wondering how to juggle all these teams. But I thought the Chiefs didn't skip much of a beat. But I'll let Shane and Sean talk about just their. This is a Thursday night game, but the first game of the season. No fans there. I was a little critical about, or not no fans, sorry. Small percentage, and there were on TV some booing at least that could be heard during the moment of unity. I watched a live video that somebody posted from the game, and there wasn't as much boo. I mean, I'm sure there was booing during the unity in different spots, but. Because and I'm not saying there aren't people against it anyways, and which is sad, but I think that was kind of marred the first game. But I think at the same time, like the NFL is trying to juggle how they're going to approach the social justice movements because they don't want people to kneel, obviously, and that clearly was a way for Kansas City people to be able to, find a way to come together and show in a sign of solidarity that doesn't have anything to do with the anthem, but it kind of got overshadowed by the booing. Nonetheless, the Chiefs came out, dropped the banner, won by 2 touchdowns against a team that took them, to the brink in the playoffs last year. But Shane, just your impressions from that game.
I was working that day, so I was only like catching bits and pieces here and there. But the thing that stands out to me was all the jokes about Andy Reid's face mask.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is the guy. Because when I got in my van and in between jobs, I caught part of the game. Like, hey, his thing is all foggy. How can you even see through that thing? And it was just like, but yeah, Mahomes still doing his thing, hasn't missed a beat. So, and that rookie, yeah, what they call him, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He had a great fantasy weekend, I think. Yeah, and then Timmy Long said CEH looked as advertised. He was. I thought that, when the Chiefs picked him and went up in the draft or used him with the first pick to be able to get him, I thought it was because Andy Reid wanted that weapon right away to use at his disposal. And, kind of like with Sean McVay when he picked Henderson last year, he was trying to find another weapon on offense, but the team never made it back to the Super Bowl. So I don't know. He probably should have looked other places. But the Chiefs, maybe they are in a place where they can just keep adding on. And obviously, with Mahomes not taking a lot of, because people will say, "Wow, that's a huge contract," but really the way that it's prorated, he doesn't really he saves them a lot of room in a lot of places. So. He's actually helping the team out long term. So I think that's something that's also kind of scary if you don't like the Chiefs, is that the Chiefs probably will be pretty good for a long time. And I think, Edwards-Helaire is one of those reasons. So he'll be added up to it. But, the Chiefs, and we won't talk about them too much longer because I thought it was a great game and some of you saw it. But a guy that I've been waiting to see, Mr. Cameron Newton, in a New England uniform, and I thought he had a good game today. Scored on his first drive, scored a touchdown. Shane, what do you got to say about that game, Patriots Dolphins? First of all, we hoped that we would see Tua in the game, and we didn't. So, did you expect to see Tua?
What's the over/under that Tua will be a starter before season end? Because Fitzpatrick didn't look too hot. Took 3 interceptions, and then
next game
was really stagnant. As far as Cam Newton, because they signed him for only a 1-year deal,
right?
Is it? Because
it's 1 year.
They're running this guy hard, man. If he's going to run like this all season long, he's going to get beat up, the guy. So I was amazed at how much they ran him today.
No,
he looks good.
That was not.
But there was speculation they were going to do this when they got him. They were going to run him on quarterback sneaks and take advantage of his athleticism. They said that Bill Belichick has been obsessed with his athleticism, his size as a quarterback, and he said he wanted to utilize that. And they even said that he kissed his butt in ways that he never pushed towards Brady's way. So it's to me, it was they talked about it, but to see him do it, I was impressed. To see Cam out there, be Cam and just make touchdowns and kind of do Cam-like things in the end zone.
So when do you think?
I mean that's cool, but I think Tua, once they're eliminated from playoff contention, he's going to get his chance. They need to get him on the field. Fitzpatrick's not the answer.
Yeah, so he's not going to lead them to the promised land. There's no way.
Yeah, check out that Tua special on Fox. It's really well done. High production value, good storytelling. It helps you to understand him and his journey a lot more. It's really good.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit and what that was about, that Tua documentary for people that didn't see it. Sean.
Well, Fox followed Tua around. They've been following him around, and they show him at his house preparing for the draft, his rehab once he got hurt, once he injured his hip. It's really kind of, they show his upbringing so you can better understand him and his family. And they do a really good job of showing you what he's about and why he is the way he is. And a lot of that, it's all about his family, all about honoring
the Samoan culture. Yep,
absolutely.
The Samoan, about how
it's
the
really
family
good.
the family name, and how his family wasn't even the Tongo Bailo or something about another chief in Samoa became their leader, so that's why they took the Tonga Bailoa name.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
really interesting, really interesting. And the other interesting part I caught was the other grandfather, I guess, but the grandfather from the dad's side passed away, and that was the one he was more, I guess, close with. But they interviewed the grandfather of his mom's side, I guess. And then I guess Tua was leaning towards USC.
Oh.
So the grandpa told him, "Oh, but you're the number one quarterback, out of in the nation, right? Because he won the Elite 11 and he was rated the top QB coming out of high school. So he said, if you're the number one QB, you should go to the number one school." And number one school was Alabama, so that's why Tua chose Alabama.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Oh.
I mean, we listen in Hawaii. We listen to our grandparents, so I'm not surprised. That his grandpa came up with that one. But I thought, Patriots, they may end up competing. Who knows? We're gonna talk about the Bills soon, but that division, it looked like people thought, it could be the new team in town, but not so fast because the Patriots look pretty good. But the Bills got a 10-point win over the Jets in the other AFC East game. Josh Allen, obviously, I got to see him play in person in Wyoming when they played the Bows and won in overtime, a game that the UH should have won. But Josh Allen is definitely making a name for himself in this league with his feet, with his arm. He just had a great day today as well. Talk about that game, Shane.
He did have a good game, but he did have some couple crucial mistakes there. I think they really playing the Jets. That's why, because the Jets looked horrible, man. And if like they had their first three possessions was 3 and out, so they're saying already that if they keep playing like this, and Gase isn't going to have a job much longer. So that game wasn't too thrilling for me.
But in that game too, we saw a lot of throwing. Obviously, Josh Allen over 300 yards. But Sean, I mean, does this team look like it's destined to still win the AFC East?
They're my preseason pick to win the AFC East, and nothing that I saw today detracts from that. I think this is their division. This is their time. Like, we've heard that Josh Allen can't throw. Well, he threw for over 300 yards today. Yeah. I mean, albeit it's against the Jets, and Le'Veon Bell got hurt. I think he exited the game. It's just the Jets doing Jet-like things. Yeah. So I kind of see the Bills. This is their division. It's their time. Maybe the Patriots can make it interesting, but I think it's their division.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Bills look pretty good, so we'll see if they move on for that. But we're gonna move on to this next.
Diggs
Stephon Diggs. Let's talk about him. Sorry, we should bring him. Stephon Diggs had like 86 yards. He was a good day for there. He's gonna, it'll take time to gel, probably him and Allen too a little bit. But I don't know, guys. I'm surprised at how nice the play was today. And by nice, I mean like not as sloppy as I thought it would be, just given like how there was no preseason. Kind of shocking, but Stephon Diggs, another guy to watch out for. I just want to get through all these games because we're going to keep talking all day. But the Packers-Vikings game, another guy that threw for over 300 yards. That's Aaron Rodgers, 364 yards today. He looked like a man not very happy with, still not very happy that there's a guy breathing down his shoulder trying to take his job. But, Sean, just talk about Aaron Rodgers today.
Well, shocker, Aaron Rodgers is grumpy, and grumpy Aaron Rodgers gets it done. So, I was kind of shocked. I expected the Vikings to handle them and take this game, but, I mean, the Packers came out and punched them in the mouth and took the lead. They jumped all over them, so...
Dalvin Cook had a pretty good game, right? For those that were playing fantasy, it seemed like a 43-34 high-scoring game. So, I'm sure a lot of people, if you had Rodgers on your team, you probably had a good day in fantasy.
Davante Adams had 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones had a touchdown.
Devontae Adams had
So-
14 catches for 156 yards and 2 touchdowns. So some good fantasy guys in there, but I don't know if it holds up. Who knows? But Devontae Adams, great game there. What else were you saying, Sean? Sorry, I just wanted to bring up. So we'll talk fantasy because I know a lot of people are talking, want to hear about some fantasy in the comments. So we'll mention some big fantasy points later on. But we'll talk about each team as it goes. Obviously, the Packers, a big win over their rival to start the year. The first time ever that Packers and Vikings have met in Week 1, and it is a strange way to see a big rivalry. But we're going to stay on the East Coast, and we're going to go to the NFC East and talk about the Eagles versus Washington football team. And this was crazy because I thought the Eagles were rolling in the first half. Carson Wentz looked real good. He was just flowing, and then, wow. Shane, what happened, Shane?
I don't know. It's just like Wentz seemed like he was running for his life, getting like the whole line just breaking down. So, I mean, everybody's going to point the finger at Wentz, but we all know that if you don't have time to throw, there's nothing much you can really do. Yeah? And
He got sacked 8 times.
8 times.
Yeah,
Eight
I think that
He got
was
sacked,
a record, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And like Washington ain't known for their defense.
yeah.
You know, the football team. So it was 17-0, and I thought, yeah, this is exactly what I expected. And then, yeah, Washington just blitzed them 27 unanswered points. It was shocking.
It says that Wentz also threw his first interception in 191 attempts, and that's the thing.
He threw 2 today.
Yeah, and he threw
2.
Yeah, I that's what was shocking about his performance is that it kind of fell off the wheels, and it was kind of surprising. But like you said, 8 sacks, he can't really help. So it's not really on Carson. It's it's on the fact that eight times is not good at all.
Well, they've had injuries on the offensive line. I know they just moved Jason Peters from guard back to left tackle. And if you're doing that like a few days before the season, that's not a good sign.
Yeah.
So
Because it says here that they had a right guard and a right tackle that played a combined 3 snaps in regular season.
Right.
So already you're behind the 8 ball right there.
Yep. And that's
But I guess like looking back, you can't really be surprised about them getting 8 sacks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, and this is a big win for Ron Rivera. I mean, his first win as a Washington head coach. With all that happened with Washington in the offseason, losing their old nickname, not being able or having the sexual harassment suits. I think they're probably pretty happy to be able to talk about something else right now. So win, that's a huge win over the Eagles. I mean, a potential, division champ. So big game there. Let's keep moving on. We're going to go over to the AFC North now and talk about the Browns and Ravens. Another a game between 2 teams that used to be called the Browns. One of them now called the Ravens. But, I mean, you don't really have to go further than really arguably probably the best offensive player in the NFL right now, maybe. And Lamar Jackson, I mean, just seeing him get out there on the flat, even just with his feet, is like he's like a freight train. It's like scary to see, and he can juke. But I mean, what was this game about to you more, Sean? Was this more about the Ravens or the Browns?
both. It's the Browns being the Browns and the Ravens just being what they have been over the past year. Lamar Jackson, he threw 2 touchdowns to Mark Andrews. I think their rookie running back had two rushing touchdowns. So I like once again they look loaded.
Yeah, I think
losing.
Keep going. What were you saying?
Losing Earl Thomas doesn't seem like it was that big of a deal. So yeah, the Browns, they're just maybe next year.
Well, what was really crazy about the Browns was that fake punt that they totally. It was like a Scottish. It was like a Scottish rugby player or something. And he missed the fake punt. Okay, that was crazy. But then, that's NFL for you, and you never know what's going to happen week 1. No preseason. The Browns, are they going to be the Browns of old? And they were.
They did have a 3rd and 41 too at one point. The Browns being the Browns.
Well, Odell Beckham Jr. 3 catches, 22 yards. And Njoku scored a touchdown. That's about it.
I'm pretty sure you heard all his what's going on with OBJ too.
Oh yeah. OBJ is a fan of
doo-doo.
2 girls, 1 OBJ. Put it that way. But outside of his very puzzling yet interesting fantasies and debauchery, I think the Browns, you were hoping that this might be a chance for them to turn around. Not sure it's going to happen. Didn't look good this week. We're going to have to move on to next year. We're going to keep talking about what's his face. The Jags, let's talk about this game. The Jags, they're the only team today that had fans in the stadium, which you could kind of hear. And they didn't look like too good at the beginning. Phillip Rivers, obviously playing for the Colts now. And he had a pretty decent game, but the Jags pull it off. Shane, I'll start with you.
Yeah, Minshew started off slow, but he finished 19 of 20, so not too bad. And like how you said, Rivers, he did play well, but his main issue was always those interceptions. And again, today he threw 2 critical interceptions. So Rivers is still the Rivers of old.
Yeah.
So, I don't think the Colts are gonna go far with him behind center, unfortunately.
I think
Matt too got injured.
Who got hurt?
Yeah, he got carted. He got carted off the field in the second quarter. Yeah, second quarter he got carted off the field.
Yeah, it's gonna be a crazy one. Well, I thought the Jags, I thought they would have less options, but they had in terms of in the air too, they had some pretty good catches, some good plays. I thought Minshew is putting some spin on his ball and looking like an NFL quarterback. So who knows? It's still a week 1 game. It's Colts Jaguars. So we're gonna talk about
Laviska Shenault had a touchdown. The whole offseason, the Jaguars just seemed hell-bent on getting rid of all their top players entering this Lawrence,
well, the Nick Foles thing. After that was a crazy thing. They put all that money in Nick Foles last year. They got rid of him, gave him to the Bears, and the Bears put him out. So, it's the Jags. But big week 1 win for them. That was awesome because now we have to talk about the Raiders because I know people have been waiting to talk about the Raiders. So let's talk about the Raiders now. Marcus Mariota did not play in the game. Derek Carr played, and he had a pretty decent game actually. And the Raiders, I thought this game came down to, at the end, I thought if the Panthers had converted that 4th down, they had a good chance of winning. At the next gen stat said that there was a 75% chance of the Raiders winning that game at that time, and they ended up winning, obviously. But very interesting call, 4th and inches. The Panthers decide to hand it off to their fullback instead of the number 1 running back in the NFL, really yardage-wise, Christian McCaffrey. And lost that game to the Raiders. But I'm sure Raider fans, if they're out there, which I'm sure they are because we have a lot in Hawaii, that's a big win for them and a big win for Raider Nation. What do you take away from that one, Shane, though? What do you take away from that game?
Everybody. McCaffrey still looked good, but like you said, I don't know, with the rookie head coach, what's his name? The Baylor guy.
Rule. Yeah.
Rule. I guess I don't know if he thought they were going to key on McCaffrey for that 4th down play. But I don't know. Like they say, right? You're a genius if it works. You're a loser if it don't. But Josh Jacobs looked good with the hat trick, 3 touchdowns. So
I thought
we'll see.
That first long throw to Henry Ruggs on the first, our friend Sean Hildebrand was celebrating that one because that's one of his guys he's excited about. Oahu Raider. I thought, Carr looked pretty good, and I think they got lucky in a way. And the Panthers really had a good drive going until that play. And I thought like everything was at least for the Raiders kind of going to what they had planned. Like they did what they needed to do to win the game as well. So I thought they put themselves in a position to win. But that was another game that I was like, wow, that last drive could have gone either way, and that was just a very questionable call. And I think it just comes down to that because they get the first down there. You keep giving the ball to Christian McCaffrey. You can run the timeout, possibly run the game out. But nonetheless, a huge win for the Raiders on week 1, and I think a good tone setter for them. And I know Raider fans are going to be really excited for this season because, first of all, they're always excited for the season. But really because this year, I think, the Raiders, looking at what their schedule, they have a tough schedule too, right? They got to play, they're with the Saints. They got to play the Patriots. They're at the Bills. They're playing the Chiefs. They got a lot of hard games coming up playing the Buccaneers. So this is a game they really needed to win to get their season kind of going. So big win for the Raiders. Congrats to Raider fans.
Shout out to Raider Nation. Like getting on an airplane and going to the East Coast and winning the first game.
Yeah.
Especially with them opening their new building. That's a big win. So
yeah. Big
shout
win.
out to them.
Big win for the Raiders. Big win for the Raiders. We're going to stay on the East Coast, though, and we're going to go up to Detroit where the Bears came in and beat the Lions. And if we're going to look at a play, I hate to say this, but we have to look at the Jelani Tavai penalty. I know he's kicking himself right now, still probably thinking about that. But he lined up off sides in a very crucial part of the game late in the fourth quarter when the Bears were driving. But I think it was third and short at that time? I mean, it helped them convert the first down. They went on and scored. So that was a tough one. Jelani obviously coming in very the way that he came into the game was not the way you expected him, but Jamie Collins, who was acquired by the Lions in the offseason, a very great linebacker, decided to headbutt the official's chest.
Got kicked out.
And got kicked out of the game. So that's when Jelani came in. But like I said, the Bears snuck away with that one. Trubisky got a win. But Sean, your thoughts on that game?
So Mitch Trubisky threw 3 touchdowns. They sneak out of there with a win. And like all my Bears friends are like, "We won today." Like they didn't know how to react. Like the fact that Trubisky played the whole game and they won, I don't think they knew those two things were interchangeable. So it's a good win for them. Like it's too bad for Tavai though. That's
it's a hard
rough.
But they would if that rookie receiver, he had that ball right in his hands for that winning touchdown, it would have been over.
True.
That was a bad drop.
True. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
that was a bad drop.
Yeah.
It can come down to plays like that.
Lions didn't have Galladay today, so Kenny Galladay, their number 1 right receiver.
Oh yeah.
Rough one. But Bears, huge win. Now the Bears and the Packers are 1-0 in that division. Lions and Vikings obviously are 0-1, but it's cool to see these divisional matchups on the first week of the season too, because they make it added a lot of intrigue to the first week. But pretty good game. But we're gonna go to Warrior Wife's favorite game of the day next, and that was Chargers versus Bengals. And the Chargers pull it off. So Shane is gonna. What's the report from the room when the Bengals kicker suffered hamstring? Question mark.
Whatever. Hamstring. My wife, she has like a compassionate. She's very compassionate for people. But as soon as that guy made like he was hurt, she's like, he's faking. He's so junk. He missed the field goal. He's faking. It's like, so mean.
Well, I mean, that was a chip shot, though, right? Like 31 yards. What did it come down to?
Major. He should have made that. And poor Burrow. You know, he played his heart out, man. Kid.
He did.
Yeah.
That first touchdown was really nice that he scored on that scamper he had for 20 plus yards, 23 yards. But first game, he played with like so much confidence. Never playing even in the preseason. I mean, that's just like the crazy thing is like these rookies didn't even play preseason. I mean, they just scrimmaged themselves, right? They didn't even play another team. So, I mean, for him to come out like that, play that well was really amazing. But for that guy to have apparently officially his calf cramped.
Oh, that's what it was, a calf cramp?
Calf cramp. Say that 3 times fast. Calf cramped. Because his calf cramped, this 31-year-old or 31-yard field goal by this Randy Bullock, that kept the game from going into overtime. So that was 2 seconds left. The Chargers might have still won in overtime, but that was definitely one of those plays that you're just like, don't know how it happened. But they also got to him they sacked him 3 times. Bosa, Ingram, that's a hard defense to play your first game too, those 2 guys. So I thought they did pretty well. The Chargers, I think that they are one of those teams too that is knocking on the door in the AFC West. So to see the Raiders win and then the Chargers win and the Chiefs already won, and then tomorrow night the Broncos are going to play. We'll talk about that game soon. AFC West has a chance to go 4-0. Did anybody go 4-0? Any conference go 4-0 this week? I don't think so, right?
I don't think so.
Big win for the Chargers, though. But here's one team that, the faithful are out right now, probably still not happy about this one. But the 49ers dropped divisional game to the Cardinals, 24-20. What a game, though. Kyler Murray really putting himself out there. Obviously, NFC West is going to be tight this year. So they have an NFC West. 2 teams in NFC West go head-to-head week 1. It already got us a little bit of a preview of what this season's going to look like in the division. And I know as a Rams guy and with Seahawks guys, these are 2 teams that we definitely are watching a lot of. And it's going to be a tough year. But Shane, what is your assessment of the game, Shane?
Well, for me as a Seahawk, whenever we win and the 49ers lose, it's a wonderful day.
Yeah.
Wonderful day. But yeah, I didn't see this coming, and a lot of people were predicting San Fran to win the division.
Yeah.
A lot of people predicting them to go back to Super Bowl. So yeah, it was good to see the Cardinals come out like this, but at the same time, I'm kind of concerned because the Cardinals have a history of playing Seattle very, very tough, and Kyler Murray is only getting better with his mobility. You could tell the 49ers had a hard time stopping that kid today, and with the pickup of Hopkins. Oh, he went off today as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's gonna be a pretty interesting run for that division title.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Before we're gonna talk about fantasy soon, but the guy that I had was playing against had DeAndre Hopkins, and I was like, I hope DeAndre Hopkins just does not have a normal DeAndre Hopkins game. But of course he did, and he had a great touchdown. But yeah, that's another. I've been thinking a lot about Budda Baker, maybe because it's just his name, Budda Baker. But you have a guy like that, the highest paid, second defensive back in the league. You still got Larry Fitzgerald. You got a young quarterback. Now you have DeAndre Hopkins. It's going to be a tough year. But Niners, Sean, your other team.
My other team.
Well, your mom's team.
My mom's from San Francisco, so yeah.
Your mom's team then. Well, I mean, what was it like seeing them today? What was it like? I mean,
so yeah, I know they have a lot of injuries, especially at the wide receiver. But I mean, this game was at home. I still expected them to pull this out. But to say that Arizona, they're up and coming, and this just proves it.
Yeah.
Tell me the Texans didn't miss Denard Hopkins today. I mean, he had 14 catches, 151 yards, and a touchdown. So yeah. I mean, he just makes their offense so much more, potent. A lot of good wide receivers on the Cardinals right now.
Yeah, and I think that's a scary thing. Like you said, it's very potent offense. They're starting. I mean, they're just getting started. Scary to see, but big game out there in the NFC West. A game where we waited this long to talk about this game. How is that possible? But of course, Buccaneers Saints. Tom Brady, he threw a pick six. The pick six heard round the country, I'm sure, because everybody likes seeing Tom Brady throw pick sixes. But nonetheless, the Saints are a tough team. I mean, that's not a game that I think any of us expected the Bucks to be able to walk into and win. But your assessment too, Shane, of Tom Brady as well.
Well, he scored two passes and a touchdown run.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the stat. He's the oldest player to score a touchdown in NFL history or something like that. Huh?
Really?
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the guy still got it, but yeah, I mean, I guess seeing him on a different team made me kind of see that maybe I didn't hate him as much as I just hated the Patriots. I mean, so maybe I felt kind of bad for the guy, but at the same time, I didn't really.
No, at the same time, I know, like Tom Brady's one of those guys that's like, we kind of, he's one of those that you get easy to hate as well, obviously, but put in this situation, now you want to see what he can do, and I think like people are talking about like, and he looks pretty good. I mean, just like health wise. He looks like a guy that can play a lot longer. So, as long as he doesn't take a lot of big hits. But, Sean, were you surprised that Gronk was kind of quiet this game, too?
Yeah, they kept him in a lot to block. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of times I was looking for him. I watched the whole game. Mm-hmm. And it seemed to me like the Tampa Bay just never really got to establish a rhythm. No. And Tom Brady looked really frustrated. Like, that's about as frustrated as I've ever seen him.
Yep.
And I'm sure that has to do with the lack of preseason, the lack of time to to get on the same page with his wide receivers. But they just didn't look in sync. They just looked really off. And I guess we'll see if Tampa Bay is going to be as good as everyone thought they were going to be.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I
think there's time. It's one game. Let's not jump off a bridge or anything.
It's one game.
Well, no one's going to jump off a bridge for them. But the Saints, obviously, Drew Brees, he's thinking this might be his last season already. That he's going to do Drew Brees things, but they're going to play again. So now that they're in the same division, we'll see it again, and it'll be interesting again. But that's all the games for today. Let's talk about tomorrow night's games briefly. Steelers, Giants. We'll start with that one. What are you excited about for that one?
Steelers,
Shane.
Giants?
Yeah, Shane. Anything in that one that you're looking forward to?
Because the Giants have been kind of trying to make it back to those glory days.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious to see if they'll make a step up to improving behind what's the QB's name? Getting one.
Yeah, Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones. Yeah.
Daniel Dimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this game will be interesting because Daniel Jones, we saw he's a younger guy. He was taken really high last year. People are making fun of the Giants for taking him. But he has Saquon Barkley.
Right.
And Saquon Barkley is a guy that is expected, if you're a fantasy person, to put up some big numbers. But the front line is all new guys, too, on the front line there. 3 players on the O-line is new. So I don't know how many. What is the? We don't. That might be where the game is decided right there, right? If Saquon can break loose. But, Sean, how do you see it playing out, Sean?
I want to see how Pittsburgh comes back. They had so much year-ending injuries last year.
Oh yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, Big Ben.
They just. So I want to see if they. And I kind of want to see too, like what are the Giants going to have at wide receiver? Who's Danny Dimes going to be throwing to? Like Golden Tate, and like their other 2 wide receivers. Yeah, they're kind of busted up, right? So I guess we'll see who lines up at wide receiver tomorrow and is able to catch.
Okay, so real quick, who do you got? The Pittsburgh is a 6-point favorite. Who do you got, Shane?
I'll lay.
Yeah, I'm going with Steelers on this one.
What about you, Sean?
Yeah, I'll lay the points. Steelers.
Steelers. All right. Well,
yeah.
We'll talk about the Titans and Broncos now. A game that could be a lot closer. Obviously, the Titans went super far last year. AFC Championship game, or AFC Divisional. We had a chance to beat the champs, the Chiefs. Or were they in the champ? Was it the divisional or championship? Divisional. I
Yeah,
can't at this point.
they made it to the championship, right?
It was the AFC Championship. Sorry. I mean,
Yeah,
all I remember
AFC
was the Chiefs winning it, and now I'm already blank. But I mean, Mariota out, Tannehill in, and now the Titans, are playing a team that doesn't have Von Miller, might not have Cortland Sutton. How do you see it, Sean? This game playing out?
I mean, it's just real bad luck for the Broncos. Like two of their best players going down, and like Von Miller, I think that was the last play of practice, right? Like really just tough luck. I see Tennessee handling them pretty easily tomorrow.
Yeah. What about you, Shane? What do you say?
Yeah, same here. I mean, to lose your best defensive player and possibly your best offensive player before the season even starts, I mean, talk about luck.
Yeah.
I'm still not sold on Drew Lock. I know a lot of Bronco fans say he might be the one to lead them back to the glory days, but I'm still not sold on the guy, especially with your number one receiver out. I know I'm going to have to go with Derrick Henry, the Beast, and the Titans on this one.
Well, I'm going to have to go just by selfishness because I'm going to bring up fantasy again because I have Melvin Gordon in my fantasy. But that, like you said, without having Cortland Sutton, that Phillip Lindsay as well, who will take some snaps. But, Denver's always been a running back place, right? Our whole lives, too. I mean, saw the great running backs come through, Terrell Davis. Everybody's come through there. It's always been a place where people we've never heard of at running back have played well. So that might be their saving grace tomorrow for the Titans and the Broncos. Catch that game on your local listings. But we both are going with the Titans. I don't know. I think the Broncos might pull it off. I want to say the Broncos just because I want to see the AFC West go 4-0 for the first week. So that would be kind of cool. 4-0 for the AFC West. So that's all 16 games, top to bottom. What are your biggest surprises that you take away from this week, Shane? Or what stood out the most to you this week?
What stood out the most? Unbiased opinion. I'm going to have to go with my Seahawks because it was funny because I read a tweet and the guy said this has been the least stressed I've ever been watching a Seahawks game. And I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of true. Usually I'm like, what are you guys doing? Why are you guys doing this? But only briefly, only brief moments of that. But I didn't expect our offense to open up like this. I thought it was going to be the same predictable run, pass, run, pass.
Yeah.
So I was really surprised to see Marty open up the playbook with the Seahawks.
What about you, Sean?
So for me, Washington football team and Jacksonville Jaguars pulling out gritty wins was really unexpected. And it's why they play the games. Like I would have bet lots of money on both those teams losing and they pull out the W. So I mean it's football. That's why they play the games.
That's right. That's why they play the games. But also something that we like to play. Well, for me, I thought what was surprising to me is how well the teams played. Honestly, how good the action was for not having preseason. So shout out to the players for just going all out and putting on a show for us because it's hard to watch or wait for this whole year and not have any fans, but it was pretty entertaining. But we're gonna switch gears, talk about fantasy real quick for the rest of the show. How long we go, because this year I played in the fantasy league because for Rams season ticket holders they had leagues. For anybody, I think all NFL season ticket holders they had leagues to win money in the NFL shop. So I put a team together. I have a guy. We'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow night. Like I said, I have Melvin Gordon playing, but the guy I'm playing against is Saquon Barkley. So we'll see. Maybe Saquon will not score at all. Who knows? Maybe he won't play. But if you did have any of these guys, how many guys started Josh Jacobs? I wonder at running back because he is our fantasy star of the week. Over 31.9 points. I don't. This is the fantasy data, so I'm going by fantasy data. I play via the NFL Fantasy platform. I don't know what you folks play. What are you, Shane and Sean? What are you playing? What platform are you using?
Which one do you use?
I use the NFL fantasy.
NFL.com.
NFL.com
Mine-
fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah.
On mine, I use the Yahoo.
Yahoo. Yeah.
Both of my leagues are on the Yahoo. Yeah.
So I play in 7 leagues, so I play across lots of platforms, and it's looking like I might not win any games. So, yeah, like.
So
you
do you
shouldn't
have the
ask
same
me
team?
About my advice about anything.
So do you,
Like, it's really sad. Like, I watch TV shows, I listen to podcasts, I look up stuff on the internet, and I know absolutely nothing. It's really frustrating. I want to quit. Yeah.
well, fantasy is one of those things too. I think my sister that barely watches football is better at fantasy than I am as
Right.
well. But the thing about fantasy is that when you're looking at players, obviously you have some of those studs that are always going to give you those points, but it's about the points. It's not about the best every time, right? It's not about who's the best player, but for this matchup for the Raiders this past week, clearly against the Panthers, they knew that they could abuse them up front. They handed off the ball 25 times to Josh Jacobs, and he picked up 93 yards, but it was those 3 touchdowns that obviously are going to be the difference in terms of what's going to give you those points. But big day for them. But number 2 guy, if you had to guess the number 2 guy in fantasy today, and it was a quarterback, who would you think? There are 2 quarterbacks, 2 and 3. No, 2, 3, and 4 are quarterbacks. Number 2, who do you think is the number 2 performer fantasy-wise of the day? Who would you say?
I would say Rodgers.
Close.
Rodgers and Wilson.
Yeah, Russell Wilson just edges him out by if you go by this metric. See, if you go every like I'm sure because Sean plays against in different platforms, right? The scoring is different.
Yeah.
But if you play by just purely this fantasy data, I mean they're basically tied. But yeah, Russell Wilson, 31 of 35, 31 of 35. Holy crap! Wow, that is amazing right there. 31 of 35.
Thanks, DK.
That's got to be one of the
Yeah,
most
yeah,
amazing
yeah.
stats of the day. Is 31 of 35.
I think he had a perfect passer rating too today.
Wow, incredible.
It's just yeah.
But yeah, those 4 touchdowns help as well. So you had a big day for him. Aaron Rodgers 4 touchdowns. But Josh Allen is actually the 4th quarterback on here. So Josh Allen. So number 1 fantasy player of the day: Josh Jacobs, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Devontae Adams actually makes it up there. I was watching the pre-show on NFL Network with they have this woman that she does her picks. She's pretty good, and she I remember she said she thinks that Devontae Adams, she's throwing in a good game for Devontae Adams. So he ended up 5th in fantasy. So some people, they just know the trends, or they know how to identify some of those.
Is that Cynthia Freeland, the Holly girl?
Oh, I don't know if it was. It was a girl on.
Yeah.
It might have been. I think she was on.
Yeah. Yeah, she does. She does all the predictions. And she uses metrics and stuff like that. Yeah, she's pretty good.
It is crazy, but
Yeah.
that was Aaron Rodgers. Who is your quarterback? Well, you have so many teams. I only have one team. Okay, one team. So Patrick Mahomes is my quarterback, obvi.
Right.
But I don't even know if I can ask you guys questions about your teams, because then you're just gonna pick whatever team you want to pick to play from. But Shane, who is your first pick in your draft? Let's put it that way, Shane. Who are your first pick?
My first pick, well, one I had auto draft because I couldn't do it because I was at work.
Oh.
The other one that I picked, and it's funny because
Okay, the one you pick. I want the one that you
pick.
pick. I want the one that
The-
Shane had to choose the people for.
Yeah, the one I picked, I chose. Who's this one?
What
Yeah,
about-
I picked the kind. I picked McCaffrey.
Okay, yeah. I have McCaffrey
Yeah.
too, and he had a pretty decent game. That's another thing that bothered me about that game, that Raider game at the end too, is why they didn't give it to McCaffrey. Because first of all, he would have got the first down, he would have got more yards, and he probably would have scored a touchdown on that drive too. So this is why I don't like fantasy sometimes. This is why I don't usually play, because I have to think about stuff like this. But it is kind of fun. It is kind of fun because today, there were some surprises, like you said. You never know. But Cam Newton actually had more points than Christian McCaffrey today, so that was kind of
That's crazy.
crazy, yeah. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people. I in my league, Cam Newton wasn't even drafted. Cam Newton didn't even start on anyone's team today. So, and I honestly, I feel like that's probably kind of normal in a lot of leagues. I think a lot of people. I mean, if you're in a 10-person league, there's probably 10 quarterbacks or 20 even, because you pick 2 quarterbacks, right? Usually, that people would pick even over Cam just because they don't know how he's going to be or haven't seen him play.
Yeah, I think people kind of wanted to see what Cam was going to be, and he is available on a lot of free agent lists, so I think he will be a hot pickup for next week.
Do you think anybody went after him?
Yeah. I guarantee.
Shane's like rushing to his computer now. He's still on there on the waivers. You better claim him now. Actually, it's funny. I should check to see if on my fantasy league if he's still there, because he was. Yeah, Cam Newton is still there, I think, in mine too. But now right now. Oh no, I don't know if he's. Oh, he's the most added player right now in fantasy. So a lot of people want Cam Newton. Obviously, it's gonna be a long season, but we'd like to see how he keeps going. Timmy said league with Sean, LOL. So you guys are all in the same league? Wait, Shane and Sean, are you guys in the same league? Any of the same leagues?
No, I asked him, but he big time me. He didn't want to be a part of it.
Oh. See?
We got a Honolulu Seahawkers league. I'm playing a woman and she's whooping me. So yeah, like I lose to everybody.
Well, we, Shane, and Sean, in the world of Seahawker land, things get competitive. So I get it if Shane was just like gonna back out because, no.
Here's the thing: is I have Russell Wilson and Chris Carson. I thought I was sitting pretty good this afternoon.
Yeah.
And then she had Josh Jacobs. So.
Oh man.
Yeah. Got destroyed.
Well, I would say my dummy move, which I knew I felt bad about, but Raider fans will get on me, but I did take Darren Waller out and put in Gronk just because I had a feeling maybe Gronk might, because Gronk is like, just for those touchdowns, just for those red zone touchdowns, more not for the yardage, but there was one play, like a really cool play that the Bucks ran, but it was it was their other tight end that was open. So like, a lot of it was just
Howard.
like, OJ Howard
was open in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, exactly. So it was kind of like, you never know. But fantasy is one of those things that's like, you just can't predict anything. But it is fun. I'm glad that people, it's a way of getting more people into the game, and getting close to the game. But it's interesting. Adam Thielen was a big fantasy day for him too. Calvin Ridley had a big fantasy day. Ezekiel Elliott, Trubisky. Trubisky.
I faced all those guys.
Really? Wow, Matt Ryan. Malcolm Brown had a big day.
In my keeper league, I had Miles Sanders and Kenny Golladay, which were like late scratches in the week, which really makes me mad because like it's week 1. You shouldn't have this kind of problem in week 1. So. That's the way the cookie crumbles.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, that's just week 1 at least. I think when we go back and look at how the numbers stack up and look at each individual matchup, we'll probably be able to identify more as to why some of these players played the way they did. Because I think a lot of us went into this year so blind because of the fact that we didn't have a preseason. Right. We didn't see how these guys were doing in the offseason. Right. We didn't see how. How committed these guys are, because like even for Melvin Gordon, who's supposed to play tomorrow night, I'm assuming he's going to play. I mean, a lot of these guys even play in the practice, so they're just jumping in. So you never know. Anybody can win. That's a fun thing about fantasy too, right? You never know. And any of you guys do the pigskin picks this past week, or pick any games like that?
Oh, I forgot to fill in my.
We should do one.
Yeah, so I do the eliminator and I picked the Eagles, so I'm out of it already. Like week 1, I'm done.
So you're eliminated.
$1 million I'm eliminated. No $1 million.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Well, we've had quite the show. We went over every game. Sean has another loud truck outside his window in Milani Manco, which happens every other. But or is that Shane? Oh, is it Shane or Sean?
Oh, it's not me.
It's actually not Sean and Shane this time, but No, I mean, like, I know what you two were really excited for this. I know I was really excited, and we've been talking about like having football for so long, and whether we're gonna have it at all, whether it be fans, and even with no fans or just paper fans, cardboard fans like myself at SoFi. You know, I didn't think there was a much of a drop off in terms of the excitement of the game, and you know that's something I think we'll look forward to in the coming weeks. But final words before we sign off, guys.
Yeah, just glad football's back, and I just want to say thoughts to the West Coast. I have a bunch of friends, including Timmy, that live out in Seattle. I know the air quality and the fires, it's affecting a lot of people, man. So thinking about you guys, just be safe out there, and we'll get through this 2020 together, man. Somehow, some way, we'll get through all of this crap.
Hopefully. Yes, we will. We will. You're right. We will get through this. It's been crazy 2020. Sean, what about you? Final thoughts. Final shots.
I'm so glad football's back, and it's different, but it's still football. So I'll take it.
Yeah, it's different, but it's still football, and that's the theme. Our NFL Week 1 wrap-up, that's it for this week. Thank you for joining me, Shane. Thank you for joining me, Sean. Thank you all there for coming in. I hope you had a great Sunday to start your NFL season. Join us on Wednesday for our next show. Go watch our old shows. Go watch our Bob Wagner. Go watch our Mayors. Go watch everything that, to get you caught up with Hawaii sports fans and everything going here. And go follow Shane and Sean as well. And just go enjoy football. We'll see you guys next week. Aloha.
Go Hawks.